welcome everyone to the last coach call for the Cargo Connect season. So it's kind of fun, couple days till championship. And yeah, and then probably the last time, Jay and I and Brian will be here as Zoom hosts to entertain you.
For a little while. Unless there's something I don't know about.
Or I don't know about.
So kind of the agenda for the meeting is we'll take questions. Brian will run through kind of just the judging, info. You guys probably all know it, but it's not bad to have a review. And then Jay will go through robot rules and the missions just in case, something has changed and you guys do have a question, or something's come up. And it's kind of what we do before events always, or day of event. So we'll get started with questions in the chat. And first of all, will we be getting drop-off and parking information? Yes, I have not received that from the college. I asked them for it, and I think they were trying to figure out which of the two main doors would be best for volunteers and for teams. And the second question, will there be a table in the judges room? If so, how big? The first answer is yes. The second answer is I don't know. I have that question into the tournament, to the venue. So I will make sure that gets into the next email along with, the parking information stuff that will all come out as emails before the event. And then, so question was, can we attend other team judging sessions? So, Brian, what's your thoughts on that? I know what my thoughts are, and it's your judge advisor. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Sure. Ruth, obviously, this means Lisa can override me. She goes second. But my take is the rooms are pretty big. So as long as we don't get into too much of a distancing, too many people in a room, I would be okay with it.
Okay, that's what I agree to. I guess I would say that if you're going to bring 30 people into another team's room, that might be a lot. The rooms are big, but yeah, spacing would be the issue.
Yeah. So a couple of people coming in, not a problem. But like Lisa said, if we pack the room, I would have concern with that.
Okay, a few more questions here. So it says, I know the kids can't leave anything with the judges, but can they hand something to judges to look at and collect it before the end of the judging session?
All the information is really supposed to be part of the interview process, so they can go over it with the judges. But it's not like they're going to be sitting there looking at that material while the judging is going on, because they're paying attention to the judging session. So just handing them a binder to look at while you're presenting isn't really going to be an effective use of materials.
It wasn't a binder that they're thinking as they were going through something that's just on a sheet of paper. They were debating if they could hand that to the judges so they could see it closer as they're talking about it.
I would be okay with that. With the expectation is they take it back right away.
Okay.
Okay. So this one's questions for the teams. How many teams are planning to stay for the closing ceremony? Our team will be done by 9:45 a.m. and may not stay. They're on the fence. Anybody? That would be the teams.
We are also an early time, and I'm not sure how much of my team is going to stay, but our family is staying. If it's any, so you won't be alone staying the whole day. You could even hang out with us in Madison somewhere.
We are a late pod, but we are all planning to stay for the ceremony. The kids are very excited about an in-person ceremony this time.
Well, good. It looks like a lot of teams are staying. So Noam will be there. Amy's going to be there. Okay, good. We'll be staying in the area all day for closing. we will stay in the area all day for closing. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot to do in Madison. You can do stuff outside, you can do stuff, there's cinemas, there's a mall, there's ice skating at a really cute park. But yeah, so there's a lot to do, and if you need more ideas, you can email me. I certainly could give you a few in the area.
Amy, we kind of jumped over your question that wasn't intentional. Will we have practice time on our match field before each match again? Just like we have tried at all of the tournaments this season. Of course, there's that transfer of one team going to their tables, and we have to clean the tables and stuff. But yeah, we there were 3.5 pretty smart people the other day trying to work on schedules, trying to get you guys as much time as we can. I was the half on that one.
I was the half.
So we tried to work out as much as we can to get you guys on the field, but it's going to be a lot like the previous tournaments. We do have to clean before the match. So if your time will be dependent on how quickly the other team that's on the table already is scored and moved on and cleaned. So that's probably not the best answer in the world, but you will be able to get on your field before the match. Hopefully you'll have some time to run a little bit.
And that's pretty much going to work just like the sectionals did, right?
Yeah. As soon as we can get you there, we will. I don't want to guarantee everybody that you're going to be there 10 minutes ahead of time or 20 or whatever. So, you guys all know how it works by now. You're basically waiting on the team ahead of you. If you're in the second and third match, you're waiting on the team ahead of you to get scored, move out, and then we got to wipe it down, and you guys can come in as soon as we're done. So, and there will be practice tables. I know that wasn't exactly your question, but
how many practice tables are there for this session?
that's a good question.
4. Unless somebody's going to override me, Jay. You want more than 4?
I don't know. I mean, do we have the staffing to have more than 4?
I have to redo trailers to do more than 4.
Oh, well, we'll do that. So we'll probably have a sign up of some sort then for practice tables, I would imagine. But
Yeah.
but see, the good part about that is this season you're not competing with everyone for sign up spots, right? You're only competing with the people that are there. Some of the later pods won't be there all day, stuff like that. So that will be kind of up to whoever is managing that area. Either there'll be a sign up or it'll be first come, first serve. So I'm sure they'll figure something out for you. But
If it is first come, first serve, again, remember gracious professionalism.
yeah. And if it is, so first come, first serve, we will definitely have someone monitoring how long each team is there, so we can move out and let another team come in.
We'll bring a roll of quarters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there was a question, wouldn't the teams that are in the time slot have priority? And that's true. We would ask that if you're in the last slot, you're there at 8 o'clock, that the teams that are at that 8 o'clock pod get priority over the practice tables.
So is your question specifically the ones that are competing at the time, or are you talking about before your competition? You're not going to have a ton of time to get off of the competition tables and run back to practice. There will be a few minutes, but it's not like you're going to have an hour between matches or anything.
Yeah. What is the amount of time? It's like 15 minutes or 30 minutes between matches, something like that.
I think it was 20 and 15.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay. Yep.
It's pretty much the same schedule we were running.
Yep.
Yeah,
I do think that's a fair request. I mean, if you want to jump to your next table and we're still dealing with something, you should have a priority to be able to run back to practice and do that if you have enough time. So
Are practice over by pit, or are they going to be in the gym?
practices are over by pits unless
Yeah, it's a long haul.
yeah, I don't know if you got
it's a long haul.
I wouldn't plan on that, guys. It doesn't sound like that's going to be a really
It's like
I
a
know-
block. It's like a city block, a walk. And just to give you a rough idea.
I would,
Okay, that's
I would
really
as-
good to
I
know.
have a question to clarify that. So our team's in the first slot, so we'll just go straight to the competition tables, and that's where we're just gonna start the whole day and just be there the whole time. Is that what that is?
Yeah, I'm good with that. I don't see a reason not to do that. Lisa, do you?
I don't see a reason not to either.
Yeah, that's
I
we
fine.
hope you
will-
swing by
when-
judging later.
Practice
Yeah.
tables-
No, I don't
practice
see a
table-
problem with that.
Yeah, we'll have the practice tables ready and open, when you, at 7:30 when we open. Obviously, somebody getting there exactly at 7:30 maybe it can't happen, but we'll have it open and ready.
Is there a spectator limit for team members and coaches?
Yes, there is still the spectator limit.
You want to reiterate that?
Yeah, so it's two spectators per team member and one spectator per coach. If there needs to be some type of no, we're good with that.
Is that specifically for closing, or was that question in reference to the games as well?
So closing, we will be limiting to 2 adults. I mean, if it could be the coaches, or if there's, 2 adults in the teams in that area, and that is a request from the venue. But, go to judging, go to robot games. No, we are not, we are having that still the spectator limit that we had for all the regionals and sectionals.
Hold on, maybe I misunderstood that. You're saying 2 adults total and the team members?
Just for closing ceremonies.
Okay,
The rest is the same as what we did before.
So for closing ceremonies, is there a place that other people can watch it?
Yeah, so Madison College is setting up a live stream of the closing ceremony for us. So if you are outside and have a device, I'm not sure, they were gonna look to see if they had a TV or something, but we didn't want to put everybody around a TV to broadcast it on. But yeah, you'll be able to broadcast it on, your phone or a tablet or something.
Lisa, will you, when we check in, will we immediately, or not immediately, but will that password for the Wi-Fi or whatever it is be known at that time, so we can set that up right away with our team?
Yeah. So it'll be set up the night before. From what Madison College told me is they issue it the night before, and we'll have it, and I'll get it. We'll have it put around the event. Plus we'll make sure that if I don't get out an email, you'll get it in your team packet that you get when you sign it, when you check in. So we have 3 coaches and mentors, more than 2. And more than 2 not attend the closing ceremony in person. I'm gonna have to stay with we should just have 2.
Yeah, I mean, if we're limited by the venue, that's not really a call we can make, so.
I seem to remember that there was some discussion or a comment made a couple weeks ago that there might be pictures taken at the venue. Is that true?
Yes, I have a photographer set up, and her and I've been talking, and she's gonna try and get like one pose picture of you guys and some, just throughout the event, just, candid shots. And then whoever wins, we're gonna ask after you come up and collect your certificates and trophy that you get together, and she's gonna take a photo of all the teams with their trophies who are
And then
there.
Are we able to access those pictures afterwards,
Yep.
or are those?
Yeah, it'll be off of a SmugMug site. We're getting it set up. I don't know the exact link yet for the SmugMug site, but I will be sending that out in the email. So you
Okay.
can look at them there and download them or whatever you want to do with them.
Awesome.
Okay, did we miss anything?
I have,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
I had just one quick question. With regard to the advancement, and I'm sorry, I came in about 5 minutes late. I was surprised to see that only 4 teams were advancing, like only 1 to each one of the major tournaments. Did I interpret that email correctly?
Yes, you did. So in previous years, we've been around 400 teams. And the reason why that's significant is first you get more team advancements the bigger your region is. This year we're around 200. So we are, capped by how many teams can go on by how many teams we actually have.
It's not significantly off though. It's only like 1 or 2 off in the champions, and then 1 off in what we normally had for global innovation.
Yep.
Yes. Yep.
So we don't. It's not the same advancement ratios we do out of champions.
And just to remind you guys, we have 1 team that will be able to advance to the World Festival, 2 teams that will be advancing to the Razorback Invitational in Arkansas, and 1 that will be going to a remote event in Southern California. And then 1 for the Global Innovation nomination, which that's a nomination that's, then that team then does more stuff to get actual to the award. So
Lisa, when our pit tables, and I apologize if this was in the literature and I just missed it, but our pit tables, ours the entire day, meaning we can leave stuff there, or is it just ours for the duration?
it is you guys are there at 8 o'clock, you're there till we clean up. So it's there for you guys for the day. You can leave stuff there. You could leave all your, robot, everything there, and then go off. I keep saying ice skating, but I think I got that on my brain. So we'll just say ice skating and then come back for closing ceremonies, and you'll have to clean up. We'll be cleaning up the tables probably then.
Okay, and
Okay,
then
if we can't find Lisa, she's ice skating.
Yeah, that's
and then these banners or flags that we're bringing, are
Yep.
those supposed to be displayed by the pit, or are those just for the parade?
They're mainly for the parade, but if you want to
Okay.
display them by the pit, that would be, it's always fun to kind of look through the pits.
Okay.
When I'm not ice skating, I guess. Anything else?
Yeah, I have one more question. I'm sorry. So I'm going back to the flag again. So we spent a lot of time on this flag, clearly. So it's rather large. Is there any restriction on taping stuff to the table so it kind of stays put? Like, does it have to
Not
be
as
painter's
much.
tape?
It would be preferable painter's tape that we aren't
Okay.
going to ruin their table, with it.
will there be judges visiting the pit, teams and pits?
There's no time built into the schedule for that. Obviously, if during lunch or if they get a little, break, they could potentially swing by. Keep in mind, though, that is no longer part of the judging process. Okay. However, if they want to get out to the pits and see things or go down and watch some matches, I'm in full support of that. But they don't necessarily have a lot of time to do that when teams are actually, there and working, on the robot or playing games, just based on how their breaks come in.
And will there be like activities in the judging sessions this time for judging the core values and such?
No, they were going to use the same flowchart method and mechanism that we have in the
forgot you
past.
guys said
Yeah, that is the standard. That's
Thank
switched 2 years ago.
To that point about activities, there was some discussion several weeks ago about doing activities during the day, but I'm presuming that that you guys are focusing on judging and robot running, and there will not be any like MC running activities for the teams that are waiting, correct?
During deliberations, we've been working with a team on a Kahoot. But if another team has something that they, we haven't come up with anything ourselves. I think it's been too busy getting the event planned. But we were planning on doing a little bit of something after cleanup is done in the gym, and we're waiting for the judges for closing ceremony.
Okay, so then any of those activities, okay, so then if we wanted to come, the team wanted to come back for those activities, we should show up back at the venue at like 4?
Yeah, probably 4. Yeah, I would say 4.
Okay.
And the unlike our previous events, the closing ceremony will be in a different room than the robot game room, or the robot game gym.
Okay, so then when should we sweep everything out of the pit area then? By the time the last team runs the robot? Or 3 o'clock or 2:45 or whatever that is?
I think 3 o'clock.
Okay, so 3 o'clock cleanup, 4 o'clock maybe for activities, and then 5 o'clock maybe closing ceremony. Is that what I understand the afternoon looks
Yep.
like?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're done sooner, we're going to try to get the closing ceremonies going sooner, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, historically though, I don't know that you guys have been able to do anything much before 4:30, correct? With 24 teams.
I'm kind of hoping for that is the timing, yeah. But it really all
Okay.
depends on how deliberation goes and how the script writing goes.
Okay, so if it turns out that the time will not be 5 o'clock, is it possible for you guys to send out a Slack message for when the updated time might be, so that we at least get a push message to come back?
Yeah, we have to take off our ice skates.
Yeah, Lisa needs to come back for the
I was gonna say Lisa
No,
will have
but
to come back too.
For those of us who are going at like 8 in the morning, I want to have a rallying call to get people back.
Sure,
They
we
don't
can, we can throw up something up to Slack.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
I'll sequester Lisa so she can't be gone.
Alright.
Usually I put her to work if you've been in my judging rooms, deliberation room.
We have to figure out how to sneak away. No.
And then Lisa, you had confirmed that like the food that's available was breakfast, lunch until around 2, and then no more food from there. Correct?
I think I did get a little bit of a chat with the person doing concessions, and she was thinking 2:30. So
Okay,
Did you say
Got it.
2:30 or 3:30? 2:30. Okay. Got a little
I am
muffled there.
trying to get, I'm trying to get a menu out of her so I can send it to you guys so you can kind of see what's there, because especially if you get questions about what's going to be offered. So okay.
With regard to the venue, in past years when we were at like Waukesha South or something, there was areas around the lunchroom and stuff to hang out, and with seating, et cetera, et cetera. 2 questions. One, does this venue have areas like that we can leverage in between our matches and the closing ceremony? And 2, are we allowed to bring in folding chairs to use in the pits?
You can bring in, let me double check on the chairs, but yes, this is a huge venue. There's lots of places to sit.
It's a college campus with hangout areas
Yeah, I kind of figured
and
that.
work areas.
Yeah.
I'd be a little worried. I'd be a little concerned about the chairs in the pits, just from the standpoint of if everybody starts doing that, the pits then get hard to maneuver.
Fair enough.
Let me also see if they, I'll ask about access to extra chairs in the pit area. And I'll get that in the email
Thanks.
of you guys.
So this place sounds like kind of overwhelmingly huge. Is there a map that's going to be distributed when we come in?
I'm working on that. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I received one map from them, but it had all the judging rooms and everything from 3 years ago on it. And that's not going to be usable for you guys. So I'm working on getting a cleaner one.
Not to mention that that map didn't have rooms that now exist and
Yeah,
stuff like
that's
that.
because they've remodeled.
It's a beautiful facility.
And there will be an FTC and an FRC team during the pod breaks that they'll have out, not during the pods because they are volunteering for us. So, but like lunch, there'll be an FTC robot and an FRC robot to kind of check out too. So there's a little bit to see.
That's a great way for the kids to consider things they may want to move into once they graduate out of First Lego League.
Will they still be there following the last pod at all?
Yep.
Okay.
What teams are going to be there, Lisa? Do you know?
For FTC, it'll be Mr. Cod and possibly another Badger Bots team, Apple CRISPR, but I haven't got it for sure on them yet. And then it'll be Badger Bots 1306 FRC team.
Cool. Thanks.
It'll have something. All right, if there's no other questions, why don't we have Brian, you just want to go through judging again, just as a reminder, it's been over a month for these teams since they competed.
Sure.
Could you be a little more enthusiastic about it?
No problem. Happy to. Okay, so just changing things. Okay, just as a reminder, everything that we use for judging, the rubrics and the flowcharts, those are available on the first website. So the same place that you get your game instructions, things like that. Those are out there as well. I've already opened them in different tabs to be a little expedient here. So the rubrics are the same rubrics that are out there. So standard rubric as you're used to seeing throughout the whole season already. The breakthrough, rising star, and motivates are on the core values. So that's an option if the judges feel that you're up for one of those, they'll tick one of that, and then they will give you a ranking for each of these areas on the rubric. Remember, they to get a developing accomplished, you have to meet all the criteria in that area. So if they look at you and they say, okay, are they inconsistently observing something across the team? If the answer is no, is it because they're accomplished or is it because they're beginning? Obviously, we don't go lower than beginning. And then the same for accomplished. Do they meet the criteria of accomplished, consistently observed across the team in this case? If they're like way beyond that, okay, wow, different, okay, then they have an option of doing an exceeds, and then they have to justify the why on the exceeds. Again, the exceeds are still, even at the state level, we would expect them to be not that many coming through, but it wouldn't be a line to see some, but again, that it's not shouldn't be the default action. And then they will give great job and think about feedback to the team, so they get some constructive feedback. And each of the rubrics as you're used to seeing them, but then they're filled out as we talked about. And then the judging session, the same session format that we've been using all season. The teams come in to the room. There'll be a team welcome, so the judges can introduce themselves. Again, it's typically a really short introduction. Hi, my name is Brian Farrell. I am a DevOps engineer kind of approach at Reclamation. And then the teams can do a quick introduction if they want, but there's no requirement for that. We're introducing the team as you go through the interviews. Then we jump into the innovation project, where they do their project presentation, and then switch over to the question and answer. From the innovation question and answer, we go into robot design explanation. This is where really they tell about the, all the cool features and capabilities of the robots, and then transition into the robot design question and answer. And we'll have a timekeeper helping us keep time on this. And then we'll get into the core values reflection. And this core values is really judged throughout the entire session, but the core values reflection is really where the judges get a chance from a core values perspective to ask those questions of things that they need to fill out the rubrics that maybe they don't feel like they have that information from the other areas. Things like discovery, they'll learn a lot about how a team did in the discovery for both innovation project and robot design, but there might be otherwise for like how they had fun or how they got the word out that comes in with the core values reflection. So yes, that's more of a little Q&A there for the judges. And then we'll give the team some verbal feedback in the similar format to the rubrics. Sometimes it ends up being the same or pretty similar feedback. Sometimes it's additional feedback to the team, and then the team will leave and the judges will actually go through and fill out the rubrics. So they'll go through and fill out each of those rubrics and make sure that they're provide the feedback on there as well. And then the rubrics that get turned in, we'll use those for the deliberations process. You will get them back. Lisa, I'm assuming we're going to give them out at the end of the day for the teams that are there.
Yep.
Okay. So we'll have that capability to give them out this time at the end of the day for teams that are there, and then we'll get them back to you if you're not there. And then, as we talked about earlier, for the advancements, we're advancing 1 to the World Championship down in Houston, and then 2 to the Razorback Invitational, and 1 to the virtual Invitational, and then 1 to the Global Innovation Award. The Global Innovation Award is really strictly around the innovation project, and the teams have certain criteria once we and things that deadlines they're gonna have to meet for that. It is not a regular tournament. It's a separate method of taking it to the next level for the Global Innovation Award. Any questions? Did I miss anything? Anybody awake?
Almost.
You did a perfect job.
I bet
Okay,
you there's
Jay,
questions after I get done.
All right, Jay. Condensed version on the fly.
Yeah. Okay. So
Can
we're gonna.
Can I ask a clarifying question, Jay?
Oh, sure.
Did anything change since sectionals?
No, there have been no rule updates since October 21st.
Yeah, that was my cool. I'm rock on.
So we're going to go through the missions real quick and the rules that apply with them. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them unless you guys, if somebody wants to stop me as we're going, I'm happy to go through them. I'm trying to, sorry, let me go back up to that first question we had. So Deborah asked me a question in direct message. I don't know if I should, are you still here? Yeah, you're still here. Do you want me to read this to everyone, or is this a private thing? I'm happy either way. If you don't answer, I'll just message you back. Let's see.
She said that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we'll address that one first. So I don't want to leave you hanging here and forget to cover it. So she says, my team has a question. The platooning truck is already on the game. That is already on the game table at start. Gets messed up by the robot at any point, and then the truck is in the way for future missions. Can a team member grab it and get it out of the way? No, they cannot. The team is not permitted to reach out and grab anything, any mission models off of the board. You can reach out and grab your robot. You can grab pieces that fall off of your robot, but you can't change anything on the board. If it's in the way, that's just part of the game. We would actually take it, if we could get it, we would take it and put it back where it was. unless somebody runs away with it. Then I don't know what we'd do. All right.
There's
So
a
that's,
vision of Jay running through the building, tackling the kids.
that won't happen. We'll call for Julia.
There
All
you
right.
go.
I maybe have a rule question as well.
Yeah, sure.
On the scoring of boxes and circles, and boxes in circles,
Yeah.
the height of the cargo within the circle does not matter as long as it is below the ceiling, correct?
The ceiling of the venue?
No, the ceiling of the field. There's like I guess the 12-inch.
Actually, there's
limit.
not.
So-
The ceiling of the venue is your height limit.
Oh, the ceiling of the venue.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So once
Sorry.
you do your inspection, that's when you're limited to your 12-inch.
I don't think we'll have quite that problem, but but I'm wondering, it doesn't have to be on the ground, correct?
You're asking if it has to be in contact with the Cargo Connect circle? Or
Correct.
with the circle?
Does it have to be laying on the mat, or can it be on top of something else that's on the mat?
It can be on top of something else.
Okay.
So the things that's, and we're going to go through this in the rules, but the time where they can't be touching anything else is when you load the cargo on the platooning trucks, the train, and the cargo ship. But as far as being in the circles, there's nothing that says they have to touch the circles. Okay.
Can you elaborate what you mean by loading? Yeah, and maybe you'll just go over it.
Yeah, I'm
Sorry.
gonna. So if you have a few minutes to stick around, we're gonna
definitely
just gonna breeze through these. So you're looking for M15 and M16 is what we're addressing there. So let me share the screen, and I'm gonna go through this as quick as I can. And if you guys have questions about them, I guess the best thing to do is just speak up as we're going through them. We'll address them immediately. So let me go back to the beginning here. Brian's like, I don't care about the rules. I'm out.
No, I need a bathroom.
Sure. All right. Hold on, guys. Share and okay. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Okay. So this is a special rule book. This is Jay's rule book with notes. So what I've done is anywhere that there is an update that applies to a specific rule, I've noted that. Okay. So we'll go through the mission, and if there's an applicable update, we'll skip over there and then come back. I think that's the quickest way. So innovation project model, it has to have at least 2 white Lego pieces, and it has to measure at least 4 Lego studs in some direction. It has to touch, has any part of it touching the Cargo Connect circle. So this is one that does have to connect, or I'm sorry, does have to touch the circle, which is, the mat itself. Okay. This does not have to be made with any specific parts from the kit. Like in previous, remember the infamous bag 9, this does not apply to this. You don't have to use any parts from any of the kits that were provided. It doesn't say that. You can, if you'd like, you can have additional parts. You can have different colors. You can, whatever, as long as it's made of at least 2 white Lego pieces and measures at least 4 Lego studs in some direction. It does not have to represent your model that you explained to us or anything like that. So we won't ask you what your innovation project model is unless it's something cool, and but that's not required for points. Okay. Unused capacity. So the hinge container is completely closed at the end. If it's partly full of contents, you get 20 points. If it's completely full of contents, you get 30. This hinged model has to be closed. That's your scoring criteria. If you see in this picture here, this is not closed. So regardless of how many pieces you have in there, that would not score. This is also a piece of cargo. So when we get down to the cargo in the circles, we'll talk about this one. You can use these as cargo in the circles as well. It does not count as a blue cargo container when it pertains to the blue circle. So again, we'll talk about that in a minute.
That was confusing for us, but we did get that.
Yeah, we'll get it. And if somebody, Lisa, if you're still there, just keep an eye on the questions for me here. For the cargo boxes, do the box base have to be touching the mat? No. For the circles, Danny, they do not. Okay. Okay. Unload the cargo plane. This one's pretty simple. If the cargo plane has been prepared for unloading so that the cargo door rests completely down, touching its black frame, 20 points. If the cargo plane has been unloaded so the container is completely separate from the plane. So 2 scoring criteria here, right? So if the door is completely down, touching its black frame, and we do want that down. I do understand that some of these don't, once you push them all the way down, they don't touch the frame, but we do want it all the way down. So if it's up a quarter inch, or what anyone would deem to be not all the way down, you won't get the points for that. Okay. The trick to this one this year is it is possible for the cargo to come out the back of the plane, or I guess that would be the front of the plane, towards the home area. That is allowed. So if that lands in front, that's not a mission model failure. It is something that is calculated. So I'm sure you guys have figured out by now, if the faster you go, the less chance you have of it going out the front. Okay, I'm going to continue until anybody has questions. This one's pretty simple. There's the truck and the airplane for the transportation journey. If the airplane reaches its destination past the blue line, they each have a blue line in front of them. It's 10 points. I'm being asked to hop on here. Okay. Yeah, no problem, Craig. Thanks. We'll see you Sunday.
Yep. Thanks. Yeah.
So if the airplane has reached its destination past the blue line, 10 points. If both of them have reached, it's an additional 10 points. So you would get 30 for that. Switch engine. This one's pretty simple. You obviously switch it. Let's see, that would go clockwise. So you switch over from diesel to electric, and the yellow bar rests all the way down. That's weighted, so I haven't seen it yet get stuck in the middle. But simply flip that. If you flip that and then it pops back because of the momentum, you don't get points for it. So we have seen that before, where something flipped it really quick, it goes, bounces and comes back. So it has to be in scoring position at the end of the match. Am I abridging this enough for you, Lisa?
You're doing great, Jay.
Awesome. Accident avoidance. If you're
donut.
What's that? Virtual
You'll
donuts?
get a virtual donut. Yep.
All right. If the robot's parked over the blue accident avoidance at the end of the match, and the yellow panel is. So first step, this is a two-part criteria here. Your robot has to be parked over the blue accident avoidance line. Okay. If it's not, these points don't apply. Okay. The question has been in the past, how about attachments? Attachments are part of the robot unless they're cargo, and we'll go through that in a bit. But if you have something that is on your robot, an attachment that's not meant to be separated except for by hand, that's part of your robot. And that can be over the blue line. It does not have to be the brick, not like the dancing mission last year. So any part of your robot. Okay. So if your robot's over the blue line, and the yellow panel is not knocked down, it's 20 points. If it's knocked down, it's 30 points. If it goes too far and knocks the black frame over, it doesn't score. So unloading cargo ship. If the container is no longer touching the cargo's east ship deck, 20 points. If the cargo is completely east of the cargo ship deck, 10 points. So you guys have figured it out by now that it's kind of like a ramp. If you push this crane, it actually lifts off the cargo ship's deck. So if that is off the cargo ship's deck, that's your first criteria. And then if it's pushed far enough east, that's your second criteria. Airdrop. Okay. We don't need to go to update 10 because we won't be doing the sharing adjustment. We'll be in person. So actually, we don't need to go to the update on this one. So this one's pretty simple. If the food package is separated from your helicopter, it's 20 points. If the food package is separated from the other field's helicopter and is completely in your field cargo connect circle, 10 points. So there's your cargo connect circle. Now, just to clarify, this is the other team's cargo. So they have dropped this into your, what would assume would be your home area, and you have now transported this to your cargo connect circle. Okay, this is not something that you took off, you took off by yourself and then transported. They need to drop this and then you transport it. Okay, and if both teams achieve that, it's an additional 10 points. So if that's confusing at all, please speak up, but I think we've been over that a few times. Okay. This one doesn't have to touch either. So this doesn't have to, let's see, make sure I'm saying that right. It says it is completely in your field's cargo connect circle. So this as well does not have to touch the mat. Train tracks, this one's pretty simple. If the train track is repaired so that it rests completely down, west 20 points, that's this part here, it just flips down. If the train has reached its destination, so we do require it to be latched at the end. You'll push it down, and if it's latched on the red latch, that's where you get your other 20 points from. Sorting center, this one does have an update. If the containers have been sorted so that the light orange container is the only container remaining completely in the blue sorting area, 20 points. Okay. And we'll go to update 11 right here. Each of the team's matches must include a different M10 setup configuration. There's 6 configurations in total. Teams may choose which configuration they'd like to have before the match, but each match configuration must be different. So you have to use 3 of the 6. And you may choose which one you want for each match, but you are not allowed to use the same one twice. Are there any questions about this one? We had a couple questions, but like I said, some of the questions I get are strategy questions, and I don't want to dive too deep into them. But if you guys have any questions about this, please let me know. This will always be set up with the blue container is on the bottom, and the orange will be in the middle, and the green will be on the top. Okay, home delivery. If the package has been delivered to its destination so that it's on the doorstep, partly is 20 points, completely is 30 points. Update 7. So there's just additional pictures here of what is partially and completely. So this can be, it doesn't have to be only resting on the doorstep to get points. You can be resting on the doorstep and the mat. That's fine. That's 20 points because it is partially on. It's still partially on here, but it's in the air and it's not completely on the doorstep. So think about this as a literal doorstep, right? When they put a package on your doorstep, that's what they want. It needs to be completely on, and that's 30 points. Large delivery. If the turbine blade is touching only the blue holder, and so the blue holder is the holder is the holder that's already on the board. It's already on the mat. Okay. I did have a team that built their own blue holder and was wondering if that would work. The blue holder, when it says the blue holder, that is the blue holder that is on the game board already. So if it's touching the blue holder and the mat, it's 20 points. If it's touching the blue holder and nothing else, it's 30. If the chicken statue is upright with its base in the circle, partially in is 5 points, completely in is 10 points. The question was before, do you have to move the chicken? You do not. If you leave the chicken exactly where it is, that is 10 points to start with. I'm sorry, somebody's texting me like crazy here. Make sure it's not something important. Okay, it's not. All right, platooning trucks. If both trucks are latched together completely outside of home, 10 points. If a truck is latched to the bridge, 10 points. If a truck is latched to the bridge and then the second truck is latched to that, that's another 10 points. You guys kind of know how we've been doing latched. We don't require it to be latched by the loop. If a tire gets latched across there, we even had one time where it flipped over and the latch was through the window of one of the trucks. That's fine. There's no rule that says it has to be latched by the actual loop. So Bridge, this one's pretty simple. If the bridge decks have been lowered and the rest of their and rest on their center support, 10 points for each side. Okay, so 15, this is where we were talking about. So 15 and 16 are the ones we were talking about earlier. So if the containers are touching only the platooning trucks, that's 10 points each. Okay, max of 20. So you can have basically 2 cargo containers on the platooning trucks, and they're 10 points each. If you put any more on there, you can't get any more points because it's 10 points per. The train is 20 points. And again, that's a maximum of 2 cargo containers. The ship's west deck is 30 points each. So that's a maximum of 60. And I have to tell you, I forgot what the question was earlier. So, we were talking about the hinge container does count as a cargo, box. So here's the trick here. We already said only 2 can score per form of transportation. The containers can touch each other or have contents. Containers can touch the gray ends of the cargo ship's west deck, and the containers on the platooning trucks must be completely outside of home. So if you simply have a container on the cargo truck that starts in home, that doesn't count for this. Okay. You earn points for the number of containers delivered to circles, the total number of circles that you deliver containers to, and if you deliver the right container to the right circle. So if there are containers in any circle, okay, each partially in is 5 points. Completely in is 10 points. If the blue not hinged container is completely in the blue circle, 20 points. So the blue hinged container, if it's in the blue circle, it does count as a container in, it does not count as a blue match, right? So we're not counting that as a blue matched container. Same, the lime green container is completely in the lime green circle, 20 points added. So these are completely in. So the color matches are completely. If there are any circles with at least 1 container completely in them, 10 points each. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different circles. If you have something in each circle and they're completely in, that's an additional 60 points. Okay. And I hope that answered the question we had earlier. I honestly forgot what the question was about the 15, 16. So
Yeah, I mean, you answered it, I think, pretty well
Okay.
before. Just that it did not have to be necessarily touching the mat. That the definition of in the circle is
okay.
Right, anywhere inside of the circle and above it.
Yep, correct. Yep, it doesn't say touches the mat, so we don't require it to touch the mat. Precision, and we need to go back to something real quick. I don't know if I mentioned this. Oh, I did mention it. So if the container is touching only, so do be sure when you guys are when you guys have these containers, it can't be touching equipment. So if you have some kind of rig that you've made to hold them in place or to hold them on your cargo ship or whatever, it won't count because that's your equipment and it can't be touching that. So just be really cautious how you're stacking these, or read the rules as to what you will be allowed to do and what you can't do. Because if, like this one here, they have this loop here where they put it on the back, that doesn't count because it's not just touching the truck, it's touching equipment as well. All right. Precision tokens. You guys all know how these work. It's a graduated scale on points lost. So the first precision token they lose, there's no points lost for that. These are totaled at the end of the match. So how many you have left. So if you have 6 left, it's 50 points. If you have 5 left, it's 50 points. So these are 10 points worth 10 points. And then this one's 15 and all the way down. So any questions about the missions? All right. So these rules and definitions would take quite a while to kind of sum up. So I'm going to go through just kind of the highlighted part. And if you guys have questions about them, just yell. So this is what you can bring to the table, maximum of 1 brick. We have had questions. Are you allowed to bring, can you use a second brick as a jig? No, because that would be against this rule. So even if it's not powered or anything, you're not allowed to have a second brick at the table with you. And if you do bring one in your bin or something and we see it, we'll ask you to take it back to the pit area. So you can use different robots on each run if you'd like, or different, any configuration of that robot that's valid, but you can't have multiple robots at the table at one time. So if you want to use one robot for your first run, that's fine. Send that back to the pit and use a different robot, completely different for your second one. That's fine too. Software and control. Hopefully you guys are on this one by now. Go ahead.
Sorry, just to clarify there, when you say run, do you mean match? Or...
Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah, your match, your robot match.
Thanks.
As opposed to launch. Yes, correct. Okay, software and control. You could use any software that allows the robot to use autonomously. Run only by programs that are loaded onto the controller or the micro SD. Remote control is not allowed, obviously. Turn Bluetooth off or disable. We still had a couple questions recently about launching from an iPad or something. You're not permitted to bring your iPad to the table. So any missions that you guys are going to run, they need to be on the robot. They need to be loaded on the robot. So you'll be launching the robot by hand. All your programs should be downloaded to the robot. Hopefully the day before or prior to the competition. Okay. The robot, here we go. This is what I was talking about earlier. This is what defines your robot. Your controller and any equipment currently combined with the controller by hand and intended not to separate from it unless by hand. Okay. So that would be most of your attachments. So it's either attachments or cargo, right? Mission models defines and limits what you can do with the games. Objects on the field. You can't take the mission models apart even temporarily. If you combine a model with anything, including the robot, the combination needs to be loose or simple enough that if asked, you can free the model in perfect condition immediately. I understand that's subjective as to what immediately is. You guys have been pretty good about not combining stuff where we would have to get into that issue. All parts of a model count as the model. Example, frames, bases, and loops. Precision tokens, 6 red disc. They're worth 3 points when the matches start, but can be removed by the referee one at a time until they're gone. Mission 1 or more tasks that can be completed for points. Try them any order that you'd like. You don't have to run the same missions on subsequent rounds. You can run whatever you like, whenever you'd like. Matches when 2 teams play opposite each other. 2.5 minutes. The robot launches, returns, repeats. Try as many missions as possible. Any questions? No. The team member handling the robot. All technicians are the team members handling the robots. Only 2 technicians allowed at the field at once. Substitute technicians can switch with current technicians at any time. Other team members must stand back as guided by competition officials. We will most probably have a line down on the beside the tables. Your technicians can switch in and out whenever they want. We don't require them to make a tag. So just have, one step up, the other step back. It's not a problem. Equipment inspection. So when you get to each match, you remove everything from the containers. You show to the referee that can fit completely into one of the 2 inspection areas. This is what we were talking about, the 12-inch ceiling. Okay. So when you set up for inspection, this is your small inspection area. It starts at the top of the arc and down. If everything fits in that volume with a 12-inch ceiling height, you get your small inspection points. If it doesn't fit in that area, you must fit in the large inspection area, which is north of that. And if you can't fit in that area with all of your stuff, you'll have to remove things until it does fit. So we don't allow it to, the robot can't compete unless it fits in the large inspection area. Okay. Once the inspection's done, your ceiling height is gone. Completely in. examples here, contained in the airspace above the area and under the ceiling height if one is given. I don't think we have a ceiling height on any of the missions this year that I can think of. 100% includes every bit of something, not just the parts that touch the mat. Drawn lines that form an area are part of the area. So that's the circle or the border around things are considered in. So the border around the circle is considered part of the circle. Field checks. Between the inspections and the first launch, you can calibrate sensors anywhere you'd like. And you can ask the referee to check any field setups you are concerned about. So this happens before or between the inspection and your first launch. Okay, inspection first, and then you can calibrate. Okay. Home defines where the robot goes between missions and tells what other handling is allowed and not allowed. Home is part of the field. Home has no ceiling. Home is your space for handling and storing allowable items whenever you'd like. It's also the place for handling and preparing the robot before launches. After launch, the robot needs to return completely to home. If you want to handle it without losing a precision token, the robot can leave home only from the launch area, but it can return to any part of home. So your robot leaves from the launch area. It can return at the north side of the board if it wants into the home area. That's fine. Okay. Do not interact with anything outside of home except for by the rules, R15 and R19. Anything the robot affects or moves completely outside of home stays as is. So that is the answer to your initial question, Deb, if you're still there, you are. Okay, so anything outside stays as it is until the robot changes it. If something comes out of home by accident, grab it quickly, and just bring it back so it doesn't upset the field. If equipment breaks off the robot unintentionally, you can pick it up as needed. You don't get a touch penalty for or lose a precision token if your robot breaks and you're bringing parts back in. You cannot strategically send or extend anything even partly out of home except by launching the robot. Sorry, I was scrolling, making sure we didn't have any questions there. Launch area. That's the space labeled launch area below. That's the quarter circle, just to the right of the home area. The launch area is part of home with a special purpose, but only when launching. So once you launch a robot, this area becomes part of this area. So all of this is home. Launch is part of home. For every launch, the robot and anything that's about to move needs to fit completely in the launch area. Robot will be scored electronically.
Yeah,
Have you Go ahead.
unless something happens and we can't do that.
That's where I was going. Yeah.
But our plan is
Yeah. So if you've been to the other tournaments, I think most of them were scored electronically. That's the plan. If we have internet issues, we'll score manually. Perfect. Okay. Right after in between launches, the launch area is a regular part of home. Oh, and blue areas have no ceiling. Of course, that's after inspection, right? So launching. So the robot and everything about to move fits inside the launch area, completely inside the launch area. You're not holding anything from moving, including motor torque or stored energy. The match start. The earliest time for you to launch of the match is precisely at the beginning or last word of the sound in the countdown. 3, 2, 1, Lego. So at the L of Lego, you can launch. All other launches can happen as soon as you show the referee checks 1 and 2. All other launches for that match. Okay. Interruption. When you interact with a launch robot or anything touching it. Okay. You can interrupt the robot at any time for any reason, but study the rules. The best time and place to interrupt the robot is when it's completely in home. Why? Because you don't lose precision tokens if it's completely in home. Do not use exact timing or perfect timing of an interruption. So an example of this would be if your robot is going to knock down the yellow wall, you can't sit there and wait for the robot, precision grabbing the robot to stop it from, or turning the robot off or anything to stop it from hitting the black wall and knocking it down, right? You're not allowed to use your eyes as a sensor. Okay. Do not send or drop things to hit or land on the robot. If a robot returns home, you do not interrupt it. It's free to interact with other things that might have been placed there for it. It's free to leave from anywhere in home without a relaunch. So if the robot's coming back towards home and you have placed something in where the robot will be, and it, you want it to grab it, as long as you're not touching the object that the robot is going to touch, the robot can feel, you can the robot can grab that item and continue on its path. It can grab it and move back to the playing field and continue on. But if you do touch the robot or anything that's touching, if you touch the robot or anything that the robot is touching at the same time, you'll have to relaunch the robot. And if it's not completely in, the home area, you'll get a precision token lost there as well. Interruption. I told you this isn't going to be quick, Lisa.
Oh.
Interruption procedures. To interrupt the robot, stop it and carry it home as if it's to interrupt the robot, stop it and carry it home if it is not there. So you have to take it when it's interrupted, you have to take it back home. If it was completely in home, not a problem. If it was not completely in home, you lose a precision token. Okay. If you interrupt the robot so soon after launch that it has just barely reached the launch area, arc line, you need to relaunch, but you will not lose a precision token. So if it doesn't leave that area, you start the robot and you realize, oh, wrong program, you grab it, you don't lose a precision token. Motor saving exception. If the robot is stuck outside home, straining its motors, and you do not intend to launch again, you can shut it down and leave it in place without losing a precision token. So we will allow you guys to stop the robot if it is straining the motors. Otherwise, we do not stop the robot until the end of the match. Manually stop the robot and leave it. End of the match exception. Stopping the robot at the end of the match is okay. If you follow R15, bullet 3, you will not lose a precision token. Leave the robot in place, R22. Cargo. When something's purposefully, strategically being captured, kept, moved, or released, it counts as cargo. When the robot is clearly no longer touching whatever it was controlling, that thing is no longer considered cargo. For cargo completely or partially outside home during an interruption, if the robot had it when launched, you can keep it. If not, the robot takes it. I'm sorry, the referee takes it. It's been a long day. Stranded cargo. If former cargo is stranded outside home, if it's completely outside, it stays where it is. If it's partially outside, you must take it into home and lose a precision token. The cargo needs to come to rest before this can be decided. If stranded cargo being taken into home by hand includes a mission model, the referee takes the mission model. Okay, see update 6. Oh, that's not sharing that screen, is it?
No.
Sorry. There we go. Stranded cargo update. The wording for R19 has been changed and provides teams with more options with former cargo rest partially in home. The new wording is stranded cargo. Completely outside if cargo is dropped or left outside of home, wait for it to come to rest. If the former cargo rests completely outside of home, it stays as is until the robot changes it. Partially in home, teams may remove former cargo that rests partially in home by hand at any time. If the object removed was a mission model, it must be given to the referee for the remainder of the match. If the object was equipment, it must be taken into home and the team will lose 1 precision token. Okay, so make sure you guys understand what this one means. We've had a bit of this with the hinged cargo container this year. Okay. Interference. A robot cannot interfere with opposing field or robot unless there is a mission exception. Points failed or lost due to interference score automatically. Collaboration is okay. Field damage, if the robot separates a 3M dual lock, reclosable fastener, or breaks a mission model, the field stays as is, and missions clearly made possible or easier score 0. And match scoring. I believe everything is scored at the end of the match this year. I don't think there's any. I'm trying to remember. I don't think there's anything that we need to see a scoring condition happen during the match. Jeff, maybe if you can think of something, let me know. But I think everything this year is at the end of the match. Mission requirements must be visible at the end of the match to count unless a method is required. Precisely as the match ends, everything needs to freeze in place for examination. Stop the robot, leave it, and then keep hands off everything as the referee scores the field with you. So normally, well, some of the referees will actually at the end of the match, when the robot stopped, they'll ask everybody to step away and then ask, 1 or 2 of the kids to come up and score with them. So the reason we're asking them to step away is so they don't just grab the robot like they would during practice. It's kind of a habit they get into. So direct wording, robot game text means exactly and only what it says. If a word is not defined in the detailed game text, use common conversational meaning. If a detail is not mentioned, it doesn't matter. Don't put more rules on yourself that aren't there. If there's nothing that says it has to happen, it doesn't have to happen. Information ranking. Among all robot game information sources, the most recent robot game updates have highest authority. They haven't changed since October, followed by the missions and the competition rules and the field setup. Within any one informational source, text has authority over pictures. Video, emails, and forum posts have no authority. If the referee's decision could go either way, or if the referee's preparation, attention, vision, or memory cause an issue, you get the benefit of the doubt. So absolutely make sure your kids understand that they're allowed to question things. As long as they're done, it's respectful and nobody's freaking out at a referee, we'll listen to them and let them explain their point of view and why they think the points should be there and how they interpret the rules. And certainly we want them to learn to speak to people that are in authority positions properly. So we absolutely want them to question and have those conversations. Once you agree with the score, it becomes official. If needed, the head referee makes final decisions. Only your best score from ranked matches count toward advancement. Ties are broken using second and third place scores. If it's still not settled, competition officials decide what to do. Playoffs, if held, are just for fun. So these are rules that were edited this year. Gracious professionalism is evaluated for every match as well. Our referees have been instructed to not really give anything lower than, what is the middle one? So we will normally do an accomplished. If there's a developing or an exceeds, that'll be a conversation that they'll have with a head ref, and then that will be determined if it actually meets the criteria. Okay, and then we'll let the judges know that either a 2 or 4 has been issued. Okay, I think that's it. Any questions? Jeff, comments, concerns?
Nope, none for me.
All right. Jeff's not going to yell at me. I'm good. All right.
All right, thank you, Jay, for going through all that.
Yeah,
Thank you,
sorry.
Ryan, for going through all of it.
She told me 5 minutes before we were doing it. I'm like, okay.
That's just how good you are.
Yeah.
Any last questions before we get off this call? You can always.
That was good. Thank you for going through the rules.
Oh,
Appreciate
well,
it.
you're welcome. And you guys know how to get a hold of us if you have any other questions, especially this week. Get a hold of us as quick as you can, and we'll try to get answers back to you. Volunteer situation, are we good on everything, guys? Are we Probably a little bit too late to be asking these guys at this point.
We're really close.
Okay.
So I think we can do it.
Okay.
It wasn't clear from the messages though. Is this something that like coaches and mentors, if we're standing around, can actually help with, or is this something that's like you need a dedicated person all day?
It's more like a dedicated person. I mean, like if you had somebody who was with you who just didn't want to sit all day and wanted to, you know, experience some other teams, we have timer position. I think we have one timer position left, but we could probably work around something like that too. So, but it is more of an all day. I just was thinking sometimes we have spectators that are just, you know, kind of sitting around and would rather do something or have something to do. So.
Also, one thing came up in the chat today was that about the team information sheet. We no longer use the team information sheet.
Yeah, that was a first decision, right, Brian?
Yes.
All right, guys. I think that's it. Unless anybody has any other questions, you know how to find us. Slack is a good option. Also, you can reply back to Lisa's email, and she'll direct you where you need to go.
I just have one quick question, or
Yeah.
I just forgot. So the maps and where the doors we have to go through, that will be emailed to us still, or did you
It will
answer
be.
that question? Woody?
Yes, it will be emailed to you yet. I need to get, you know, the information from the venue. I don't have that information to get you guys right this second. So, but yes, I will get it emailed to you as soon as I can, because I don't want
Okay,
to hold.
perfect. That's what I thought, but then I second guessed myself about like remembering if that's what you said or not. So, okay, thank you.
Good luck, everybody. We are very, very excited to be back in person, and we're really looking forward to seeing you guys. And we're really looking forward to having closing ceremonies. And I'm personally very excited. So thank you all. And
What Jay said.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you guys tell I'm excited for in-person closing? This is going to be pretty cool. All right, guys. See ya.
Bye.
See ya.